Hello and welcome to Star Wars Real Talk. In this video we're going to discuss the ending that I wish Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, had actually had. This is an ending that I don't think would have redeemed the entire sequel trilogy, but it would have done a really good job as an ending to Episode 9 and could have done a good job at pulling the whole sequel trilogy together. We all know that the trilogy was disjointed and it didn't follow a smooth storyline, so this ending that I wrote here I think would do a good job at putting the pieces together in an interesting yet entertaining way. I don't know about you guys, but I really hated the build-up to Rey being a Palpatine, and then it just goes nowhere from there. She doesn't even, attempt to redeem the Palpatine name because she immediately changes it. So we find out she's a Palpatine, and then she decides that she doesn't want that. Wow, huge reveal. I feel like they spent the first 2, even 3 movies foreshadowing her turning to the dark side, and then they do nothing with it, and then in the end it's just fine. She's just a good person at the end. Sure, she had moments of struggle, but it didn't even really matter or amount to anything because she didn't grow stronger through those experiences. It's not like she suffered any consequences to exploring the dark side. If anything, she just grows more powerful every time she does it and is rewarded at the end. The only time that I can remember that she was going to be punished for tapping into this dark side energy was when she supposedly blew up Chewbacca, but then it was a fake out and he was fine. On the other hand, as I've talked about before, I felt Kylo Ren had a much better arc. It felt fitting that he resisted the light for the entire trilogy, then at the end redeems himself and commits to the light side. This is fine with me. I love a good redemption arc. But I would have also liked to see him fight the light side for the entire trilogy and win at the end. That is to say, in Episode 7, you can tell that there's a good guy in there, and by Episode 9, you just see a pure Vader-level evil. But like I said earlier, redemption is good, and I didn't mind that either. To me, it felt like Rey was set up to become a villain, and then they were just like, nah, happy ending for everyone. Except, the guy that redeemed himself, he doesn't get a happy ending. And don't give me that martyr bullshit. A character doesn't always have to sacrifice themselves to be redeemed. What I would have really liked to see in this trilogy was flipping what we know about Star Wars on its head. The protagonist becomes the antagonist, and vice versa. At the end of Episode 9, Rey falls to what she believes is her destiny and allows the darkness to consume her. Since throughout the trilogy we know that Rey cared a lot about where she came from and who she was, it's not implausible to theorize that the moment someone handed her an answer, she'd cling to it and accept it as truth. This would be a very clever way of reviving Palpatine without literally bringing him back to life. The main villain would still be a Palpatine, just not the Palpatine. Honestly, I wish we had just had a new main villain without shoehorning in another legacy character only to be tarnished for Disney bucks. This could have been a clever way at nodding to Palpatine and respecting the legacy character without physically bringing him back into the movie the most awkward way possible like we got in Episode 9. On the other end of things, Kylo's path would have played out similarly to what happened in the movie, except by the end, he would have been facing off with Rey. This would have made the ending so much more meaningful in my opinion, the tension between the fallen hero and the redeemed villain. In your gut, you'd be happy for Kylo, but you'd still be genuinely worried or concerned about Rey's fall to the darkness. Now, I'm a little biased because I genuinely enjoyed Kylo as a character more than Rey. From my understanding, a lot of the community feels the same way as well. I'm not saying anything about the actors, I'm just talking about the characters themselves. But the movie is called The Rise of Skywalker, and Kylo, or Ben, literally has Skywalker in his blood. He's in the freaking family tree. The title makes way more sense for my ending than the actual movie's ending. Now again, this is just an ending. Obviously for this to play out this way, the whole movie plot would have to be altered. Not too much, but just a tweak here and there. For example, Palpatine's broadcast still could have happened, but it could have just been a scare tactic to fool the Resistance into thinking the First Order got their original ruler back. They could have still embarked on a dumbass Wayfinder journey only to find that Palpatine was never actually at the end. But along the way, as Rey journeys closer and closer to the Death Star in search of her shiny golden ticket to Exegol, she would learn more about her family lineage and start to accept it. By the time she meets up with Kylo on Exegol, both who went there originally to destroy Palpatine would instead just fight each other. Rey realized she was a Palpatine and her place, as she always calls it, in the galaxy, is on the throne that Palpatine had prepared for her, his grandchild, before his passing. Maybe Palpatine didn't prepare it exclusively for her, but it could have just been another one of his contingency plans for someone in his bloodline to become the ruler after he died. I think that would have been a pretty cool storyline for the sequel trilogy. With the rise of the First Order, Palpatine also set in course a chain of events pulling Rey to the throne. Throughout the whole trilogy, Rey was being pulled to the dark and Kylo to the light. I don't know, I think that's a pretty cool concept. You could even leave the whole Force Dyad thing in, between a Palpatine and a Skywalker, and it would have preserved Vader's sacrifice and Anakin's legacy in this way. Anyways, I think that would have been a pretty cool ending to not only Episode 9, but the entire trilogy, and it would have been a pretty cool final battle if you asked me. I mean, Rey already leaned on anger in her fighting style anyway. In the original movie, she kills Kylo in cold blood while he was unarmed. That's a pretty evil thing to do. And they never reflected or talked on that either. That was just a thing that happened. It was never addressed. And honestly, what was more boring than seeing Rey fight Kylo again and again with no real outcome? If my ending happened, how much more epic would their final battle be? Kylo with his grandfather's lightsaber somehow returned to him, and Rey, I don't know what she'd use. Maybe she'd get a hold of Kylo's lightsaber, or maybe she finds a red lightsaber left to her by Palpatine on the throne when she gets there. This idea has a lot of potential, and the more I talk about it, the more ideas keep popping into my head, so I should probably just end this video here. I wasn't a fan of the sequel trilogy because of the bad writing and the character stories. I didn't mind the characters at all, I just think that they were written poorly. So it's fun to imagine the same places and characters with a new purpose and story designed by people who actually get and care about Star Wars. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to follow me on Instagram as @StarWarsRealTalk for more content, and consider joining the Star Wars Real Talk High Council if you want to support my channel. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.